All right, how's it going? I thought I'd do a quick video on the Altoid can fire starter. If you watched my last video, it was my first like feature length video. I had used the Altoid tin with a pre-set up fire starter built in it. So all I had to do was take this, put it on the ground, light it. I used the ferro rod, and it was instant fire. And it's great for if stuff's damp. You can get this thing going, and you can actually get this thing going and then go start collecting stuff. This thing has a pretty good burn time. It's instant fire, no matter what, every time, in a kit, in your bag. You put it down, you light it, it's fire. So I thought I'd go over what I put in it, and we'll go from there. I'm doing an overnight 2 nights from now with a couple of friends, so I'm putting one together for that, and I figured I'd take you along while I put this one together. So stick with me. I think it's a great thing. I just kind of popped in my head. I was storing tinder and different things in here just to bring with me, and I thought, well, just leave it in it and light it right there. Boom, fire. So let's put one together. All right, so what I'm using for natural materials is what I have available near me. I don't have any birch in this area, but what I do have is quaking aspen. And on the inside of quaking aspen, I've got some pieces here. So this is your outer bark, but inside, we're going to make a good mess here too. Inside the quaking aspen, the inside of the bark will shred apart into these really fine fibers. Like really fine. I mean, they give off dust. So this is, what's taking my spark. You can just hit this with a lighter. You can do. I prefer to use the ferro rod just because, to be honest with you, it's more fun. But before I get started on what we're putting in here, I just want to, there's lots of ways you can do this. I want to do this because it's natural. I want to do this because I'm collecting materials. It's another thing I'm doing out in the woods, is collecting all these materials, so that's fun. Also, you could collect this stuff on the trail as you go, or on the trail as an emergency. So this is stuff you want to look for while you're out anyway. So you want a nice tinder. There's lots of things you can use for tinder. If you're somewhere where there's birch, then that's a 100%, grab some of that. But I have this stuff, it works great. I've got a whole bunch of it. I actually took like a big piece. I got some smaller pieces, look at the size of this thing. Big old section off a dead one. And the whole inside, like right here, it just strings out, turns into really fine fibers. So you just break that down. We'll get a bunch of that, put out on the table real quick. Also, what I collected is I went around to a bunch of pine trees, and you'll see some stills on that. And I collected a bunch of sap. Some of this still has the wood attached in it, so that piece is probably just going to go in their hole. That's going to give me some longevity. But these chunks right here that look like rocks, that's like super hard, solid pine resin. I don't know how that lighting is. So that's really hard pine resin. And there's a couple of soft pieces, from where the resin was newer. I got some dust, some little stuff. So this is all pine resin. And that's basically what gives you longevity with this thing. Just think of it as like a wick and wax. So once you get this going, it's burning into this. The natural fuel of this is absorbing into your materials. And then you'll see I'll get some bigger pieces. I also was talking about fat wood in this area. It's like ridiculously hard to find because of the extreme temperatures. We go from really, really, really cold to really, really, really hot. So I found a couple pieces of some fat wood, but it's not like the stuff you're going to find, back east or down south where it's real piney. It's definitely waxy and it's there, but it's pretty hard. So you get some really fine shavings. If I take like the 90-degree backside of my Mora and you get a good scrape on it, you know what I mean? You can smell it. Oh yeah. But it's real waxy, and I'll be putting some of that in there. So anyway, all natural materials in the can. Let me get everything together, and I'll show you what I'm putting in there. Oh, that's what I was going to mention. This is all natural. There's lots of other things you can do. Storm matches should always be in your kit. But that's to light your stuff. That's not your fire. But there's some products out there. Somebody might give me this. Some kind of fire starter. You know, it burns forever. It's waterproof. You can light it on top of fire. You know, just the ultimate fire starter. And the stuff works. I've seen them use it. It does work. You got to put a direct flame to it. You can't hit it with a spark. Once it goes, it goes. So yeah, there's options out there. There's a million options out there for fire starters. One of my favorite is actually just cotton balls soaked in Vaseline. It's one of my favorites. So the reason I like this is that, one, it's fun to collect the materials. You're out in the woods. So the whole reason we're doing this is to get out. So you're collecting materials. It's natural materials. It's in a tin. I put it down, and it's fire. So here, I'll get everything together here. I'll get some of this bark broke up, and we'll layer this stuff in here. And like I said, in the last video, you can see me use one, and I'm pretty sure in the next video, if it is the next one I put up on the overnight coming in a couple days, you'll be able to see me use it again. All right, so what I did is I broke up the inside of the quaking aspen. I mean, this stuff, I don't know how well you can see. New camera's coming soon, guys. I'm doing all this off a GoPro. This stuff breaks down to like a dust. It's super dry, it's super fibrous. So this is like what's catching my spark. This is your tinder. I've got all this. Some of this stuff still has some of the bark in it and some wood. So I'm going to put some of that in there, kind of give me some longevity. And some of this stuff, like I said, it's like rock hard. It's solid chunk. Let's see if I can break it without making a whole bunch of noise. This is a custom knife I made, by the way. Just a little utility knife. Custom handle. I made it out of what was left from some pruning shears, some broken pruning shears. Yeah, this stuff's hard as a rock. Hard as a rock. So we won't go into breaking all that stuff up. I've got plenty of small stuff here. But we'll get some of that in there. Ooh, that's potent. I got some regular wood chips. And I've got some of the fat wood shavings too. So this is what we got. We got our tinder. We have a resin. Pine resin works really well. If you're somewhere where you can get cedar, you can use cedar bark scrapings for this. Birch bark. Your choice in tinder. I'm just going to take all of this pine dust and we'll get it in the tin. So what I want to do is I want a little bit of this in the bottom so that when it starts to melt the resins, it has something to soak into. So I'm going to layer in some resins, layer in the wood chips. Just a whole cornucopia of fire starting materials right in here. The resins are the key to give you your longevity, to literally be able to light this and take your time, or give you enough time to dry out wet tinder. So let me put this together. So there you have it. This is my fire starter kit. What I did is I poured all that really fine resin dust and dust from the quaking aspen bark right on top. So like you saw in the other video and maybe in the next one, when I hit this with my ferro rod, the inner bark just gets, but because it's got all the resin and everything built into it, some bigger pieces, some chips, some fat wood chips, this thing, it gets going, it stays going. So all I got to do is close her up, put her in my pack, put it down, open it, light it, build my fire on top of it. In the morning when it's cooled off, or the next day, or whenever it is, or if you can get to it, you pull it out and reuse the tin. Like I said, you can find these little, I think, whatever these are, these Camel tobacco tins that are kind of better sealed. Probably going to build a little one and stick it in my car kit. And then also, waterproof matches, storm matches. Got the ferro rod. I always have extra lighters. I always have this in my kit. This is like heavy duty canvas tape. And I got large needle, sail needle for repairing gear, and it's a Bic. So you got that, the matches, the ferro rod. redundancies on some of the really more important stuff is great. And you know, there's times where I will throw this in. This is, you know, supposed to light basically in the rain. And it's not bad to have this kind of stuff. It's a security. It's another thing to have. I like doing this because it's natural. It's fun to collect the things, and everybody likes to say, "Hey, I made this fire kit and it works." So that's about it. All right. So super simple, easy to do, fun to do. You don't have to collect the materials and bring it home. If I was out camping, didn't have much, you can collect that on your way as you're you know, busting the trail through the woods. Just collect those materials. The saps are great. Fuels, they're fire extenders. Think of it as wax. Think of your tinder as the wick. You get it melting, get it absorbed into some of your tinder. It'll give you some time to dry out some of your thinner materials if you're in a damp location. Same with the fat woods. There's a lot on YouTube. But the Altoid tin deal, I think I'm going to continually run one of those. So thanks for tuning in. God bless, and we'll see you on the next video. We're going to have a blast. I've got some really cool ideas that I want to do at that same spot this coming weekend. So, all right, have a good day.